Hi strangers, my name's Nessa. If you're like me, your parents' names are Tom and Brenda, and you had a bean burrito for breakfast this morning, or you're a photographer who wants to talk about culling. If that sounds like you, we should talk. So today we are going to be getting into the nitty-gritty of culling. It's a really fun first video because I get real preachy, which everybody really enjoys. The reason that I wanted to tackle culling is because it is the foundation for so many of my workflows on the back end. It is such a huge content creator for me. Like at the time that I have completed culling a wedding, I have all of the material that I need to design an album in less than 30 minutes. I can put together a slideshow in like less than 30 minutes. My Instagram posts are basically set up for like a week at that point. It's this really wonderful hub of information that I'm creating just from culling. And I know that everybody gets to that point, but I'm really going to get into like my flagging system and basically how when I'm at the end of editing a wedding, I never have to go back into looking through the full client gallery again because of all of the flagging and starring that I've done during the culling process. I also sort of wanted to touch on over delivery. I do a lot of one-on-one mentor sessions with other photographers, so I've had the fortune to go through a lot of photographers' work. The feedback that I give almost every time, and I mean this almost every single time, is you're delivering too many images. You're watering down all of these really beautiful hero shots with mediocre versions that are very similar of the same image. And when I see one image that's really amazing, I'm like, wow, that's an incredible shot. And then when I see 5 that are very similar, I'm like, oh, it was just a nice setup, a pretty day. It really takes away from what you're doing. And I do cull in Lightroom, which I feel like is as controversial as you can get as a topic when it comes to culling. Every time I post something on like Instagram or Facebook saying that I cull in Lightroom, somebody asks if I've ever used Photomechanic. So for backstory, I was a sports photographer for a while. That is the program that I used. It is the program that I used in the beginning. But if you have upgraded to the latest like 2 versions of Lightroom, you have the exact same capabilities in Lightroom that you do in Photomechanic. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to do that right now. I'm going to start by importing some images for you to see how quickly we can do this. These are really amazing photos that I took just for this purpose that I'm going to import. So instead of my usual setup, which is where I build standard size previews and smart previews, and I work from that, I am going to go ahead and go to embedded in sidecar. And this after import is what's going to allow you to use Lightroom exactly like Photomechanic. So I'm just gonna go ahead and import that. I'm gonna let Movie Magic do its thing, at least during the import, so you don't have to see the import. And I'm just going to show you, after all the images have been brought onto my computer, how quickly you can go through them. So this is just the embedded sidecar files. So you can see it says embedded preview. So I'm just going to go through these. Hopefully you can hear my clicks. So this is just as fast as Photomechanic. I can just hold it down and go through all the images really quickly. There aren't that many. If you are dead set in culling in Lightroom and not doing it the way that I do it, which I'll go over in a second, you can still do it just as fast as Photomechanic. So now I'm going to jump into how I like to cull, and I am going to start by introducing my Nimbus. I use a controller when I'm culling. I feel like it's really helpful for me to have something that physically separates myself from my computer, so I'm not clicking into other things, because culling is one of the more tedious things that I do, and I don't always feel like doing it. I love it not only because it keeps me separated from what I'm doing on my computer, but also it's really great for RSI, which is repetitive strain injury. If you are somebody that spends a lot of time on your computer, if you do a lot of the same like things with your hands over and over, you might occasionally feel pain in your hands and in your wrists. The way that I used to cull is by keeping 2 hands on my keyboard in a very strange way, and now I just sort of get to hit my buttons. I like the Nimbus, but any Bluetooth controller can work. I used to use something called Palette Gear. Palette Gear was specifically designed as an editing tool. I really liked this for a while when I thought this was my only option. I specifically don't like that the buttons are so far apart and that I like to physically pick it up, and I just don't think this is a good use of that. So I have upgraded to the Nimbus. I think you can also use an Xbox controller, and you do all of that using a program called Joystick Mapper. I can show you exactly how I have mine set up so that you can see. I will include a link to help you get set up with this program. This is how I have it. I can't 100% recommend this for the simple fact that it's called Joystick Mapper. That's the program, and these buttons don't work. It's crazy. It's craziness. I just use my L2, R2 buttons to go through the images. So this is how I have it set up. So one thing that I really like to do is shoot with my LCD screens in black and white, and I also like to cull on black and white. And you can really easily do that on a Mac by going to System Preferences, Accessibility, let's see, Display, and use Grayscale. This is just going to strip all of your images down to just lighting and composition so you can pay attention to what was really happening in those moments. If you're shooting in RAW, then you can easily adjust the colors later. But what I'm really looking for is just like really solid moments and good compositions more than anything else. The next thing that I'm going to do is go all the way to the end of my wedding because I like to cull backwards. I like to cull backwards because for portrait sessions, that's when my clients are the most warmed up. That's when I'm the most warmed up. I'm taking pictures really mindfully at that point. I'm not just like doing warm-up images. It's also really helpful on the wedding day because I will frequently take photos of the same things over and over, especially table settings. I'll be like, oh, the tables are out. And then somebody comes along and they put some more flowers out and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I take pictures, and then they put out chargers, and then I take pictures, and then they bring out the candles, they fill up the water glasses, and then I take pictures, and then they light the candles, and then they turn on the string lights. I usually stop taking pictures of something once I've gotten the shot that I want. So by culling backwards, I'm getting to the shot that I wanted to get first, so I can just sort of breeze by all the other ones from earlier in the day. It's the same thing with group pictures. You know, you'll take 15 pictures of a family group setup, and then you'll realize that Great Aunt Marge no longer wanted to have her purse in the family portrait, and so she'll put it down. So by culling backwards, you'll get to those pictures sooner, and you can sort of breeze by the ones that happen later on. So I'm going to start at the end of the wedding. This is a wedding that I've already worked on culling, but I'm going to talk through all my flags. I can actually show you guys what all of my flagging means. I flag for anything that means it's deliverable, so all of the white flags that you see are deliverable. I will star things 1 star if it means something that I need to take into Photoshop to remove something that's distracting. 2 stars are for any time anybody looked at me. So if somebody during the reception grabs me and wants like a small group picture or a picture of them and their partner, then I'll take a picture of them, but I will star it with 2 stars so that the guests can really easily find those photos. I will use 3 stars for all of my details, and that's really helpful for me later when I'm building the album or during like blog submissions. Whenever you're submitting to a publication, you're really going to want to find those details super easily. 4 stars are for anything that I want to put into prints. I do gift prints for all of my clients. It's also for anything that I want to put on Instagram. And my 5-star images are for anything that goes into my portfolio or could perhaps go into my portfolio. And those are also the same images that I'll pull for anything that I want to do for like marketing, any like headers on my website, anytime I want to update anything or create like a flyer. It's going to be the 5-star images that are in my catalog. Also, as I'm going along, I am going to be flagging things as red. I really like this image. Could be cool for a slideshow, so I'm going to flag it red. There are also going to be a couple images flagged blue. The blue label is going to be for my editor. So anything where I was having a hard time with the lighting and I don't necessarily want it to go into the slideshow, but I want my editor to know how to edit it, I'm gonna flag it as blue. I can go more into why I'm choosing certain images another time. I feel like curation is a whole other topic for us to get into, but I really wanted to show you guys what the flagging looks like. I'm gonna take my computer out of grayscale so we can see all my beautiful flags. If you are working with a second shooter, then you will want to first just look at your images to start with. So I'm going to camera serial number. I'm going to assume that I'm the one that took most of the pictures, which is true. I'm going to just go through all of my images first. I really look at my second shooter's work as kind of supplementary. If they were in a place that I couldn't be, they were shooting getting ready pictures, if they were able to get details, if they got like a really awesome shot during the first dances, Those are the kinds of shots that I'm really looking to incorporate. I don't want to add to the bulk of the images, and overall I think that it's my job to shoot as if I don't have a second shooter. So I'm going to cull my images first. So I already have a really good idea of what's been captured in the day, and I can just build onto that story. I'm going to go into a wedding where I've already sent it off to my editor. So I'm going to turn on just my flagged images. I have just over 1,000. I'll get that down more. Whenever I get the images back from the editor, I'll do another round of culling, just getting rid of a few. All the images that could potentially go into the slideshow are flagged red, and I have those. Look at how fast this is. I just want to say, you don't need to go into Photo Mechanic for culling. If your Lightroom isn't very fast and you would like to talk about that in another video, let me know. I'm happy to help you optimize your Lightroom because I really think it's a super powerful program. And you can see I'm working on a laptop. I don't own a desktop computer, and I feel like this is plenty fast. So blue flag images are anything where I wanted to have a reference from my editor. So usually I'll throw in a couple family portraits. And then my 5-star images I think are really lovely that could potentially go in my portfolio. Let's see, let's do 3-star. This is for any details, anything that could go to publication, or any scene setting photos that could be really great for transitions in a blog post. My 2-star images are anytime a guest or anybody looked at the camera and I think that they might want to see these. These are totally unedited, by the way. And the 1-star images are just ones that I need to have photoshopped. That is how I cull. Hopefully some of these tips will be helpful to you even if you don't want to cull in Lightroom. But I keep all of my images in Lightroom in one catalog for the entire year. And if there is one takeaway that you get from this video, I really want it to be that you need to make sure that you're at least starring your portfolio images. I have friends that will work on their year-end review post for like days at a time. It's really easy for me to update my portfolio at this point. All I have to do is go to my smart collections. I can go to my 5-star images, and then I'm just gonna sort these because I have all of my JPEGs and everything in here. So I'm gonna sort this by file type, and I'm just gonna go ahead and grab all of my raw, So this is 93 images so far from this year that have the potential to go into a portfolio or would be a really great place for me to start for an end of the year review. So I really wanted to show you how helpful the starring and having all of my slideshow images together is. So say one of my clients comes to me that didn't order an album that would like to. I can go into their catalog. I can sort by, let's see, flagged, let's do red. I have 167 images to sort of build from. I've included like scene setting images. I've got details in there that were relevant to the day. I've got a lot of portraits to choose from. I think it's even more crucial to have it for longer wedding days. So this is a wedding where I delivered 903 images. It was a really long wedding day. So by having these red flagged images, it's going to be really easy for me to put together an album that includes everything that they would need to have a full story of their wedding day told in an album. So I am happy to do an album video. I just got a new sample album and I really want to show it off. So if that's something you want to know about, just let me know. If your Lightroom isn't as fast as mine as you're going through your images, let me know. If that's something that you would like to talk about, let's talk about it. I really hope this was helpful. I'm not a fast culler, but I am very efficient, and I don't love to work, and if I can save myself time in the future, then I'm willing to put in a little bit more legwork on the back end to make sure that I can get that done. Thank you so much for backing my Patreon. I know it's my very first post, so going forward, they will be better. They have to be, right? Because it's the first one. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have a really great day. Bye! Do you like the multi-cam setup? I don't know if I like it. Bye, strangers. Sponsored by David's Tea. I'm just kidding. I'm not sponsored by David's Tea. I'm sponsored by you guys. In fact, I'm not even sponsored by Sam. He won't even let me use his microphone. I have to buy my own microphone. Yeah.